Hello.
Something on my mind I've been wanting to discuss, and I've been wanting to enlighten people on something that's been a controversy. And I made a video about, this was about the Joe Rogan incident and why I made that video. But I'm gonna get into so I'm gonna title this video "There's good black people, there's bad black people, and then this what you call the N-word." Why is it that it's the N-word? People who are prejudiced try to justify their prejudice. I've encountered it a good portion of my life. People who are prejudiced and make themselves seem that value to make a point that other people are less than other people. And a lot of the things I was saying was true. People do think that they're better than other people because of various reasons. Because of geographical locations, because of the certain upbringings that they came from, certain background, certain class, and most of all, their skin color. How does skin color play an effect with something that you can't avoid? Help the way you were brought into this earth. The perception of it is that whoever does the most has to despise them, will be despised the most. And believe it or not, I believe that the Most High loves us the most, despite the world despises the most. Because if you look at the way the system is, people project it out one way. There are some people in this world that really do believe that we're all equal. And it's probably a small percentage of people that think that way. But the other ones, they do it for their own gain. And they hide their prejudice. They assumptions, if that's a good word. They assume things. They see other cultures and they assume things. They don't get to know a person for a person. All these things they see is what is projected on TV. Or what they've experienced and what they've heard, so they go by what they heard and what they experienced. This is the case I made a video about Joe Rogan. It's because people with a mindset like that, if something's popular, they cool with you. With the people who have the popularity, who has the appeal, even though it don't look like them. And it's something that some people don't want to address it. But I'm going to tell you someone who's never been to the spotlight, an individual who's never come across someone in the spotlight. But there's people that's on top of the roof, and then you have people that's on the ground. And you get to know what people say on the ground, but they'll do anything just to climb to the top of the roof, or they want to be up on top of the roof with people who think that they're above somebody. And they'll play their role, they'll put on a face, they would say anything and everything. They tend like that's not them, and they really think that people don't catch on because of what they look like, and they may look at you a certain way, and they may think something's wrong with you. I've been judged like this all my life, so this is nothing new. And sometimes I would stay reserved. Sometimes I wouldn't say nothing. But as I was thinking, being someone in my age bracket, I can honestly say it's like an elder saying, I've seen it, and I've been here and I've done it all. I've heard it all. And to the point no one can pull something on you that you haven't already seen and what you haven't already heard. I went to school with people like that. I went to church with people like the Joe Rogans of the world. And they'll sit there and be your friend. But it's like they want to be popular. They'll get to gain. But when they get around the young people, they really don't know you. And they'll talk about you like a dog. And that's the truth, because they feel comfortable around people who don't look like them. And a lot of people who don't look like them will try to give them the pass, who they projecting this out to. And it's one of the groups of people is black people. A lot of black people don't know. It can take a 3/4 of a lifetime for them to figure out how is someone being what you call racist. And like I said, like I one time mentioned before, racist don't have to be someone that puts on the sheet. A racist person don't have to be a person that shaved their heads. A racist and have a swastika. No, that's your radical ones. A racist could be wearing a ring and you won't even know it. And the ideology of a person who's racist is like this, because they have the perception and they try to preserve it, but at some point it takes a person that look like them to pull it out to get what it is. See, what a racist person don't understand is people like that don't understand. Sometimes just because someone look like you don't mean that they agree with you and they let you be with what you agree. But see, a person who is racist don't understand that, and they turn it, and how they do it, they'll signify jokes or whatever. And I've been subjected to that. I've heard people and they so boldly they do it in front of you. Cause see, when you a comfortable black person, you will see more of what they project out in their way, and they be like, well, it's just a joke. Well, it's just you're taking things too seriously. No, I understand there's some things that are jokes. You could talk about things. I could talk about myself or talk about things, but it's the way you project it that people can tell if it's a joke, you tell a storyline, or it's something you trying to undercut and undercode and thinking that someone's not going to catch what you're saying. And the perception of it is black people, there are some people that think that due to their history that black people are slow and they don't have much of an intellectual expression of education, so they project whatever that they're good for one thing. And this goes all back, and they said this part of the past, because they say that black people should go on with their life and past. But how are you going to go on with something when something's projecting from the past, and it may not be coming from black people, but it's coming from the perception of this is what you are, because all you good is musical and athletic ability. and it's because what the media and what TV project on TV. So this is what you want to do, but it's something, and then they project. So they saw this. This went out throughout centuries after centuries. They make black people like a cartoon character. They put the buckwheat. In cartoons when, Tom and Jerry explode, and it turns into these buckwheat braids and stuff like. And the black eye, completely black, face burnt off, and big lips. Then they did with the ancient. Then they did with the heavy set black woman, who is like an ancient mama figure, and she has in what they call Ebonic language. And this was projected not only in America, but it was projected in other parts of the world. So this is what they perceive of black people: is that they're not very bright, that they have this animalistic mindset. They're not even worthy to walk the planet. And this is fact. They're a buffoon that can be made fun of. So this is what they pursue. But yet the same people that they projected, some of these individuals that they project throughout stereotypes, and this goes back to the history of America and other parts of the world. But yet when black people start shining, when these same people who are descendants of the people, you didn't make it look like buckwheat, and with the blades exploding, and you make the black woman loud and ebonic, and she can't really speak, she can't articulate herself. This is the way she articulates. So the other races are taught not to go around these people, but at the same time, the only time they're good to go around them when you see them projecting on TV and they're projecting in music. But it's funny how God have a sense of humor, because at the same time you're mocking their skin complexion. There's a certain percentage of businesses that have to get tanning beds, and it's funny how the same people and injecting their lips trying to get this. They're trying to get the same texture or thickness of lips that some black women and black men have. It's the same thing. You project something in that you see. You try to, and then doing when the black soldiers were coming back to war, they would tell the European parts that you keep your women away from these black men because they have tails, and they were born back with tails. But yet there's scientific proof that there's some people in certain areas of the Caucasus Mountains that they were born, and some of them I heard this one. And I didn't even know this until she kind of pulled an article. Lisa Guevara pulled it, that there were some people who were born with tails, and it wasn't black people. It was not black people. It was the people that was some of them born in the Caucasus Mountains, but they project what they do on us. This is kind of strange. It's kind of strange. So they project something, but when something is popular, they want to make something awful of something that's popular, and then they get jealous and envious when they do, and they get and satisfied. And then you got some of the people who make money off of the prison systems of the people who are descendants of the slaves. You have people that have death of the descendants of the slaves, and you're okay with it because hey, it don't apply to you. But do you know that it came back, and now that the same area, and so the media projected on TV about drug use, and they go into the inner cities like Chicago, Detroit, and it's mostly African American, 20% white and other people. But it's kind of now that was the projection to slow down the production of their reproduction, because if they kill each other off, whether you black innocent, whether you a criminal, not a criminal, the whole point about it is that population would get dwindled off. But it's okay though. You know what? Because and someone who ignorantly think that's I have it harder than you. How is that How is that certain groups of people have it harder than black people? When you was not you're not doing the history of your ancestors wasn't put in the generations from the time of the beginning of America, made to be subjugated to the most horrific conditions known to mankind. They had to do labor work. It wasn't asked of labor work. This labor work wasn't asked of it. Either you do it or you get skinned alive. Literally get skinned alive and get tormented and tortured to death, and then torment from generation after generation. But it's okay. Because it doesn't affect you. Why can't you get over it? And then after you took them out of slavery, you put them in the Jim Crow. Said, okay, we're gonna let you have yours, but we're gonna let you have your own cities. We're gonna let you build your own towns. But when the same people have their own cities, their own towns, then it was envious and jealousy to go and burn down the whole towns. It was envious and jealousy and domain that took over areas which it was their land. It was given to them, and they brought it through hard earning and work ethic. It was given to them, but some people tend to take away because remember, here we're supposed to be. We're all equal in the land, but just simply because of pigment and the color of the skin and the region of the world they came from, they had to be taken up. We had to subjugate them and put them on a generation of subjugation, and then we can determine who and what and how and what it was. And just like in the days of the Hebrew Israel, in the days of the people in the Bible, they did the same thing. They did the same thing the Egyptians and other people that they did to the children of Israel. They did the same thing. They were good workers. They were innocent workers to provide, to help build up the design and chip away the Sphinx and all those things you see over there. They were good for that. They were good for agriculture, bringing things. As long as Egypt had to be on top, and they both look like each other, and that is true. But they had separate gods. And so let me give you the minds of the Egyptians and like these other people. So the Egyptians had the same mind like these other people. They were superior to the Hebrews because they were cattle. And, they were just same way what you see what was ancient America today. They were subjugated till under Egypt rules. And Egypt rules had the mindset, if you look in the Bible and his prehistorical books, that they had the children of Israel basically doing everything what they're supposed to do. They had them for 400 and something years. 400 years. This is in the Bible. They subjugated them, and when they even to the point that they controlled them, the generation they put them in bondage for 400 years, to the point that they kind of reduced their population because they wanted to play God. And they made the Egyptians went over and made the Hebrew people at that time kill off their seed. How does that relate to today? They did that to one of the groups. They did that to African Americans. Black people in this land, you have what they call the Egypt system, that if you divide the black men and black women from each other, you can slow down the population. Give the value to women by tell the women in certain parts of states that if young black women, just like Egypt did, that if they would kill their seed, that they would hate, that they would get benefits. So you would have a self-hatred. Then the same people would have the same self-hatred for themselves to destroy their own race. This is what you and this is what it was done to African Americans, like it was done to the ancient Hebrews. And so the ancient Hebrews, but some, there was a few Hebrew left like a Moses, and there were ones that God spared because his mother loved him so much, and that's why he was raised up under their system. And there are, and just like they parallel, there were African Americans who were mixed, who were part of the mix, were slaves. They were up under, like a Thomas Jefferson, Sam Hemings. Follow what I'm saying. The same parallel. This is American history. This is history in the Bible. But here's the thing about it is, Egypt wanted to keep up their system on the Hebrews. Thomas Jefferson, though he had a relationship with a slave, was technically a black woman, was technically a descendant of a slave, and you can see their descendants to this day. And if you look at, you can see the resemblance of Thomas Jefferson's in the black family to Thomas Jefferson in the white family. And then they outlawed that if you lay down with your, before that you lay down with a slave, black and white, that it was a penalty. So in Hebrew, but there was also intermixing with Hebrew, because Moses, whose father is a Hebrew, he had and just like Joseph, well, I'm sorry, not Moses. Joseph had relationships with Egyptian women, and they have they were part Egyptian and part Hebrew. Fact. This is in your Bible. But I say that all that it is that it's something how they parallel the stories. The stories are so similar. We try until this day, and then it's like there's another part of the Bible, another part of the good book, is that you still about the story of Balaam, and the one man tried to say, I would pay you if you can curse them. And Balaam couldn't curse the children of Israel at the time. But unlike today, they pay musicians to speak things and activate the atmosphere, because it was up on everything. Carbon copies God, music and worship. And Lucifer, that at one time there was Satan, who was instrumental of a principality with instruments, was part of the choir. He, to this day, the music is the same. There was music today supposed to go to the Most High. There's music that goes to Satan. But musically, one of the groups on the planet have the most talented voices and gifted was some of the people with the darker pigment skin. Not to take away the other people of the different cultures who have their own beautiful sounding music, but it's the sound that was. But just like today, they knew that they were moved by Satan, just like it is today. We can't, and there's a scripture in the Bible, we can't curse them, but we'll get them to curse themselves. We'll get these, we'll get them, we'll design their style, have to make up the music to destroy one another with guns and drugs, so they'll wipe out the population. Second thing that they did, you have a demonic system that do that, and these people come from wealth. We'll select one of them. Let's make it seem that we indirect. Egypt thought the same thing. Egypt, the Egyptian gods thought, they had their gods. They got the magic. They got the government. They got the gold. They got the agriculture. They got the resources. And at the time they were in like Egypt and like Greece. in Rome, they had the empires. But they had one of the groups that they had was these ancient Hebrews. And whenever you have the ancient Hebrews, then the blessing and the sound will come, and then the land will. And Egypt probably thought to themselves, well, clearly that they believe that, even though we know the Most High had them believe that their gods was the one that they had a superior complex, supremacy complex. Egypt had a supremacy complex. But if you read in your beginning the Bible, and they tell you stories during the time about Moses and the Red Sea, you see before when he laid out the plagues, because Egypt did these people so wrong, because they would pay them they would put them in a small tents in the desert. And then when they would pay them by salt. In ancient America, they give the slave the cotton and will pay you 85 cents, just like the way they did in other countries. And a lot of descendants of the slaves, like a lot of descendants of the Hebrews, they robbed them. They robbed them because they thought that. And then not only that they did, the Hebrews understood their worship system, because they were up under the Egyptian statues and magicians and their ways of their gods coming over. America did the same thing to the people, to what we call when they went from the colored, from the Nigger, the color, the Negro, and African American. They were subjected to pull from different ways. They were subjected the same ways. You got some that's up under these different systems. But wherever there's a blessing on them, because God blessed them, because these are the descendants. Some of them were descended, and the blessing will follow descendants, because it would naturally come out through their gifts. And so the Egyptians, like they do today, they see that the African American, just like the ancient Hebrew, got these gifts, but we can't give them the ability that think that they do, but we're smarter than them, because they just have to be controlled. Like we have to put them into a childlike state. Even though that there could be the same generation graphic, we got to keep childlike state so we can maintain dominance. Egypt thought the same way. Look at the way that their mindset, and just like Greece, some Grecians and Romans, they thought the same way. But unlike this, the Most High, creator of heaven and earth, see, because you did these unwillful things, and I heard the cries to heaven, and I see the injustices that's in the land, because he saw the ethnic groups at that time, just like you see the ethnic groups now, and he sees that there's some partake in direct, indirect, and say, hey, it wasn't us. They did the same thing. They voluntarily do the same thing, because we provided some biscuits. Same reason, but you gotta understand. The Most High of heaven and earth heard this cry from the people, saw the destruction, saw the abortion, saw the sacrifice of abortion, saw that you don't abort these kids. We have to control this Hebrew sound. We got to control them, because if we do, they're going to outnumber them, and then then their mind, we can't govern them, because it'd be so mean to govern them. They're going to overpower us. So we got to put it in wit. So we have to deal with them wisely. How do we deal with them wisely? Go 2 or 3 generations in the Bible first, and then you go to like a man like a certain individual that saw these people that were blessed, and he said we can't find a way. So this man who was a priest or a magi cursed these people, put a curse on them, speak a curse over them. They couldn't. Every time he spoke a curse, they couldn't curse the children of that who was descendants of the ones from the Bible. So what man did in the same book, it said we'll have them curse themselves. So all the stuff you see, the ancient, just like America has the ancient people of the ancient slaves that came off the shores of the transatlantic slave, we'll have them curse themselves. And when they curse themselves, then this construction will come upon them. And then you will see in Deuteronomy 28, go from 40 down to 68 verse. This applies to them. And this is the only people that's fit this. If you bless me, curse me. You bless, you be blessed, and you curse, I will let these things upon you, to the point that you. And so you see madness strike all over. These people are laughing at African Americans of their destruction, and unfortunately, some African Americans don't see the curse, some of sin that is on their life. They don't see the destruction. But if we wind the numbers down like Egypt winding numbers down, we'll have a governance and gain over them, and we won't have to give them. And it won't be a situation like, because Egypt didn't want to give reparations and give their reparations to the Hebrews. It's not till something came along and to the point that God warned them, if they don't do the right thing under his eyes, let them people go. Let me deal with my people. But Egypt said, okay, we'll let you do, but we'll keep your children. We'll keep you wise. You tell your men to go out in the desert. You can do all the worship you want. But wait a minute. Didn't they do this to the slave, to the ancient slave? No, wait a minute. Make sure that they learn his Bible. Make sure that we took certain things out. There is I believe it's someplace in Washington D.C. or somewhere that there was, when the descendants of the slaves, there were certain things that were taken out of the Bible, and that they would taught the descendants who look like me to come the direction that look like me, to keep them abominably ignorant, and put the image like a Nebuchadnezzar. They put the image of Caesar Borgia. They put the image. So it's like they were haters, but they're confused with us. So we'll put the image of a man, and you read the history about the men who posed as Christ. There was Leonardo da Vinci that painted a Christ figure that would be and put in churches all over the world. If they look at the image, they will put us. Then we can say, and not only that the natives will do it, but even other opinions will say, yeah, that is us. That is us. We are the gods. We are the blessed. The image. This is not about blacks. Let me see white supremacy. This was taught. This is the truth. I'm making a balanced assessment here. Then on top of that, this is, and so at some point they would keep this over these people. They would, and in some part of the book it said that there would be a nation no more that would never find out for 400 years. The same, because one day I asked the question, well, what happened to the ancient Hebrews? What happened to the ancient Hebrews? What happened to these people that was in the Bible? You know, once, from the time, there was the people that were in the bondage that was shipped all over to the world. Now, so many hundreds of years later, they find out that the descendants of people who are shipped all over the world are the same people, or the descendants of the people that have similar things with the people in the Bible. They were rebellious. They loved their gold. They loved the flashy. Sunday women were haughty and stiff-necked. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't get sunburned out there in the desert. Their hair was woolly. They had bronze skin, according to Revelation 12. Revelation 12. But there was some people like that. They was color. Nobody want, but the ancient time said we can't find them. And then there was the main system church. We know who the main system church is. They kept that away from the people. He said, don't tell these people something like that. These people who's rising up in these last days, they're psychotic. They're not the people of the Bible. They're the Hamites. Yeah, they come from. These Negroes come from the Hamites. They just ain't something. They curse. This was taught, and this was taught. So they taught the people, the descendants that's in this land, probably in other parts of the world. You are the son of Hamite. This is the reason why black people, we serve as being up under the curse. You curse under him, which we know that's the reason. Is it true? It was, and you find out, and then when black people picked up the Bible and are free, unlike the slave counterparts, to find out and was anointed with the eyes and appointed with the eyes by the Most High to see this was incorrect and in the wrong. All of a sudden, a whole system start rising up against us and say these black people are being extremists and black supremacists, because they start understanding who they are. But the system wants them to keep them thinking that the Egyptian system, the Roman system, and the other systems say keep these people, keep them in bondage. If you don't keep them in bondage, they're going to rise. 400 years, if you don't keep. So this is what we got to do. We got to let them put out put out a certain music. Yeah, that's right. Go ahead and dance like that. That's how you guys do. What you call yourself? The NIGGG. Shut up. Don't wake them up. Let them think that that's right. That's who they are. That's what they are. Yeah, that's right. That's who they are. Yeah, that's right. What you gonna do there, homeboy? You gonna do with your homeboy or your home skillet? Okay, you gonna pop. Oh, okay. Hey. Let them do what they do. We got a system for them. We got a building for them that we can lock them up and take away part of their manhood, so they won't reproduce when they get 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and they're going in the prison system at 20 and 30, and we don't have to produce. No. Same system. No. Let them curse themselves. And so the ancient Hebrews, after they left, they had the same mindset like the ones do today. They couldn't let Egypt go, so they start putting up the gold, and they want to follow the ancient ways. They want to follow the ancient gods and the ancient way. And this is before God laid down the laws and commandments and say, let them know that I'm the God that brought you out. I'm the one that brought you out of that mess. I'm the one that brought you out of the bondage systems of the world. I'm the one, not them gods that you worship, and don't build nothing that's in the earth, above the earth, and below the earth. But it's just like they had, they were flexing, they would go, they were going, they had the good jewelry, because after they got their reparation, which was trillions and billions of dollars with the gold, when they left Egypt, because after the Most High slapped the plagues on Egypt, and then he struck them with death. He struck them because Egypt struck abortion with death. He struck them one time because God struck their agriculture. He struck them. He struck them with lice. He struck them with flies. And it's just like today. The Americans getting struck. One of the nations getting struck. They getting struck with pestilence. They getting struck with virus. They getting struck with opioids. They getting struck with suicide. And the suicide is a humanitarian than anybody lists people from. But it was speeding up something but it would start speeding up on the ancient descendants of the slave. It's all right, because we have to reduce their population. We have to put something in the genetics in their food because it reduces the population. To give them something in their body when you reduce the population. We set the same principle, the same point, the same principle point. This it's funny how this thing goes along. But here's the thing about it. The people that did this to the ancient Hebrews, this is one that did. Egypt suffered. And just like places like Rome, like places that they had their own islands and they did their own debauchery, they did what they wanted to do. It's like Egypt, they did what they want to do, and just like Babylon, they did what they want to do, and something power. It was so bad, but the Creator did the one thing. He warned them what it was, because he didn't want it, but he warned them. But they was up under their own systematic governance supremacy system. I'm more supreme over this, and not only we can take slaves and put them in, we can put them in bondage and subject them and make them worship them what our gods or what we want to. And this is what they did. They pulled out the different the 12 tribes, and where they were scattered, we can put them under our system, and they'll come up on our system. And then this day, but the God of heaven and earth has been answering, and therefore certain things from the plagues to the overdoses to everything is coming on in the land. The finances that hit the financial, the agriculture, in all different ways, and they can't figure out because they don't want to do the right thing, because these are Hebrews, they're property. But they're people, but they're Hebrews, but they're less the inferior people. They're Hebrews. This is what it's not what we're gonna give this to the ancient slaves that came off the train. We're gonna give them reparations. We're gonna give them, well, I tell you what we're gonna do. We'll give them a basketball court as a reparation. We'll give them something, but we'll own the basketball. We'll own the cement. We'll give them a school that it has to be projected to someone else. We'll project something to them, but we have to put different clause, and it had to be due to another alternative lifestyle. We'll project something to, but it's something. Well, no, you have to give these descendants of evil. Or why we gotta bring that up? Because you're gonna try to do what you do. Well, we'll give them money. That's nice, but that's not gonna do it. What do you guys want? What's done? What's right? From every corner of the world, everybody should get something what they've generationally been taken and stolen from generation after generation. And saying, well, that's just the path, Daddy. This is something to me. We're not coming after you individually, but the governments of the land, just like the government of Egypt, that's like the government of Rome, owes the children of Israel. Everybody gets some reparation, just like the people in the Caribbean owe some reparation, just like the people in other places owe some reparation, because you put them in bondage and get 400 years of labor and so, and you didn't, and put them in the land, and then when they rise up as a people to govern their own land, you come in and you cut them off. And then when you have a place like Haiti that had fought back, you put them in bondage. And then you put them in bondage and leave them in bondage for another 400 years. And say, okay, let's take the resource, let them scrap over scrap. We won't provide them the adequate resource because, the property on the land. It's like they look at, and I know it's kind of hard to picture people. This how the supremacist mind think. This is how they think. These people, but yet, why are you going to keep going around these people that you feel that you inferior to? Why would you want to go around you if you feel that they're skilled? Why would you want to go around people that you worry about? You don't want They're seed in your family. Why do you want to go around them? They can never answer that. They can never. But the most prejudiced people, I guarantee you, they envious each other because they don't have what it takes. They don't have it. They don't have it. They'll have envious and jealousy of someone who has it. So they start mockery with the jokes. We'll mock them, and we'll make a buffoon out of them because we really don't